Laura.
All right, I call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, September 18th. Can you do a roll call for us, please?
Yes. Chairperson Wendy Brentham.
Here.
Co-chairperson Tom Bain.
Here.
Even know. Commissioner Sandy Kalish, absent. Member Shannon Lynn. Here. Member Lori Rafferty. Here. Member Julie Smith. Here. Mayor Rick Combe is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Trevor Smith is absent. For now, Board Member Terry Howard is absent. Tammy Hart's absent. Administrator Boyd's here. I'm here.
I don't know what that does for you.
And. Oh, it's here.
I'm
Everything.
here.
Bruce, are you
Yep. Can you hear me?
here?
Okay.
It's kind of weird. It's like the elf talking to me. Like that's rude. He is. All right.
All right, do we have any public comment?
Nope.
All right, consent items, approval of the agenda as it is written. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as it is written?
Also move.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a first and a second. All those approving of the agenda for this evening, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, and then approval of the minutes from August 28th, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the August 28th, 2024 meeting?
I'm sorry, Terry Howard's like, is the meeting started that day on Zoom for 15 minutes? I'm like, I have no idea what meeting she's in.
She's not in this one.
I move we accept this, the minutes from our August 28th meeting.
All right, I have a motion to approve the minutes for the August 28th meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, so we have a first and a second to approve the minutes from the August 28th meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. All right, any new business?
Nope.
All right, so let's move into update or the old business, which is update to zoning code, marijuana and natural medicine zoning code.
All right, Ruth, you're on.
I am?
Yeah.
I can't hear you. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I have my volume all the way up.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So I think
Yeah.
I wasn't unfortunately at the last meeting, but my understanding from that meeting is that there was some discussion about the natural medicine and marijuana dispensaries being similar. And I just wanted to explain that they are completely different. It's new legislation to be able to dispense mushrooms, psilocybin, and will be a whole new way of licensing and regulating that. So it requires specific provisions in our zoning code. Even if we're not going to allow it, it still needs to be in there so we don't get sued for.
And did we get, because I'm looking at the minutes, did we, or could you come up with, we needed some clarification on like the definitions between like medical and recreational marijuana and then like natural medicine sales, distribution, cultivation. Do you want me to go out and I can go look and see what other towns have?
Yeah, I mean, the medical and recreation, I bet, is in the state statutes now. I just have not looked at that. So that should be really easy now that we've been living with it for what, more than a decade, like 12, more than that, I think. And
So-
then there are definitions in that proposed ordinance resolution for the dispenser, natural medicine. So they have their own definitions that have been adopted by the state. So we'll just implement that. I can get that back to you guys. I'd actually just like to email it to you so that we can get it approved at our next regularly scheduled meeting, unless someone has an objection to doing that.
No,
I don't.
No, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I guess the next question that follows from that is, does anyone have any strong opinion about allowing them in town? So allowing marijuana in town, up till now, we haven't had any dispensaries. That would be my first question, and then the second would be these natural medicine dispensaries, or are we still aligned with prohibiting it altogether?
no, I think we went through that last meeting, cause Julie should have that.
So one of the questions we had was, the medical marijuana caregiver operations. We were just not really sure we needed to keep that name as it's written, caregiver operations. In our definitions, we have medical marijuana operations, but when you throw the word caregiver in there, it kind of muddles the definition. So that's what most of the discussion last meeting was on, was, what are we gonna call this? Are we gonna keep it medical marijuana caregiver operations, which I don't feel explains really what we want, or are we going to call it medical marijuana business, dispensary, or are we just a medical marijuana operation? Which is what's in our
Yeah,
definition.
let me explain though, caregiver is very different than a grower. Cause a
Right.
caregiver is one, as an example, when my mother was going through cancer treatments, I could have gotten a caregiver license to grow. It's a limited number of plants
Okay,
for my mother
okay,
while she was going through cancer treatment.
okay.
Now, unless they've totally changed the definition, but that's what caregiver grow had been classified for, is it's very limited. And it's very, I mean, it's a small amount for a specific person. And I believe, last I remember, I thought you could go up to 4, you could be a caregiver for up to 4 people. Now, again, that's been a little while. Ruth, has that changed?
I'm looking at it actually right now.
Thank you.
Yes, I think they got rid of a lot of that because they just said you can kind of grow what you want, within limits, as long as you're not selling it.
Any individual for any reason to grow up to 4 plants for their own use.
That's
So-
what I heard the last time.
So I believe the caregiver need is obsolete because anyone can grow now. You don't have to be a caregiver.
Yeah, and I just,
Actually, it says, I'm gonna read it to you, or I'm gonna paraphrase, is that medical marijuana cultivating and transporting caregivers have to register
Mhm.
their medical marijuana cultivation information.
grow.
Actually, which is super interesting with CDPHE. There's a
So-
medical marijuana caregiver registry. Wow.
Yes. And when you read that too, that is part of the thing, is those people that are homebound that have medical marijuana license, the caregiver can actually go to the dispensary on the behalf of the person and get it for that person and transport it. So that's part of that caregiver licensing, because otherwise they can't
You can't
transport.
buy medical marijuana.
Because at that point in time, you're considered a dealer versus,
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's.
so
why there's
that's why that caregiver, so that's why you,
it.
yes.
So I feel like we need
operations.
to leave this medical marijuana caregiver operations in our code, but we need a definition for it separate from medical marijuana operations. We need a definition that includes the word caregiver in that.
So should
Yes.
options be taken off of here and maybe say caregiver registration? Or
Or
caregiver,
just
something to
caregiver.
imply to that, yeah,
And
just
then define
caregiver,
caregiver.
yeah, and then that would reflect the state.
Also, I'm not sure we as a town can do much about it, since I mean, we can't prohibit it. I can tell you that because it's managed and governed by CDPHE. So that's interesting to me. And then also the patient has to be registered with the state.
Okay,
I think we need to leave it though, because if someone is gonna say it and it's mentioned on the state level, at least we have it addressed.
Yeah,
And-
so I think, we'll have to look at that, but,
And that's our goal, is to not leave.
and also it's about, you know, a caregiver goes to Denver and gets medical marijuana and is driving in Kiowa and gets pulled over or something like that. Actually, it'd be the sheriff anyway, but I could see where we just want to make sure we're gonna protect those people, both the patient and the caregiver.
okay.
Is the natural medicine falling under the CDPHE too?
I don't think so. I don't think yet, but let's look at that. I bet they don't want anything to do with that. I think so. They're already
goodness.
all over. Actually, they're
Licenses issued
they're
by
already in Denver. They,
master professions and occupations. So we need to add a line to our non-residential zone districts to include natural medicine. I don't think we've done that yet.
Correct.
So we need to add that line in. I think we need to add a line, leave medical marijuana caregiver operations, change that to medical marijuana caregiver.
Okay.
And then add a line for. We wanna just do marijuana business in general, or do we wanna specify medical versus recreation?
I think we need to specify.
Yeah,
Once again,
I-
it's clear
I was
again.
just gonna ask that, I mean, since we're gonna have, shouldn't there be like four, like natural medicine? Caregiver, medical, and then recreational, shouldn't there be like four different codes?
Yeah,
So you're basically just covering, you're covering the town, and you're also covering. Everything
Okay.
like, you know, caregiver and.
so do we call it medical
So everybody's
marijuana
covered.
business and recreation marijuana business? Are those the titles we want in our lines?
Ruth, what's your thoughts with those?
I mean, that works. So, and if it's different, I will let you know with respect to the state statutes. However, CDPHE is not yet involved in the new natural medicine. And it's some appointed board under the state called the Natural Medicine Advisory Board, and I can assure you that is not going to stay like that. And they advise the Department of Regulatory Agencies, which is essentially where I thought they would end up. So that's the way it stands right now. But like everything, I expect that it'll evolve, right? Trying to regulate them. And so the applications begin for licensing facilities September 30th. So I'd really like to have that on our books before then.
Do we need to break out natural medicine a little bit more? Like as dispensary cultivation?
We have a resolution drafted from another jurisdiction. I don't know how easy it is for Kim, or I can email it to you if you guys want to look at that.
I would say yes, email it to him.
Okay. I can try right now too, but
Do you think there's a point in breaking it out a little bit, natural medicines out a little bit?
I think it's still so new.
But then we would have to change, I mean,
We will definitely be revisiting this.
Yeah, because with it being so new, it's similar to when VRBOs started. You had no idea.
right,
So you have to, it's gotta be something that let's watch and then break.
So leave it broad over.
That's what I would do, because if you start nitpicking now, you're gonna end up with who knows what in a year. Because we don't know what it's like.
And we don't want to, I mean, I just put the language that I love to use, which is as amended. That always works. You know,
Yep,
local and state laws as amended, so that will protect us. And I just sent that Breckenridge ordinance to Cam and Sasha, so I don't know if you guys want to print it out or
Okay.
I mean, just the thought though, not that I wanna break out, but it says certain plans, I mean, that could be so many different things under natural.
but again, we can't.
Oh, I know we
Yeah.
can't. but I'm
So
just saying,
that's why
it's not
we-
just mushrooms. it's
Right,
not just.
But that's why
Um,
we, based on state law,
Right, right.
then it's as is and amended, it'll protect everybody better.
Cause couldn't that be like any kind of plant? That it has an herbal healing, medicinal purposes?
Potentially.
Yeah.
It has to be as defined in the regulatory act, which, singles out psilocybin, mushrooms and psilocybin.
So for now, just fungi.
it's
Sweat.
very specific.
Fungus,
Very specific.
fungi.
Okay,
I thought you said.
so if they're growing something else, it needs to
Yes,
be back.
Okay.
That's how you get when you eat too many
Like
fungi.
foxglove or
Right.
something.
Well, at
Then
this
it's-
moment in
No,
time,
not
that's
that
not,
it's us, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, then the state would need to put.
if they
Something
wanted to
back.
regulate
And
those.
then it would,
So I guess it being so
It'd be like
new,
echinacea, there's so many things
Exactly.
that we
Yeah.
get naturally, so they're just looking at.
Just this one.
Yes,
Just psilocybin, this new proposition that starts in September.
I mean, since it's so new, even the state's gonna probably change things. as
Yes.
Oh, for
things go on.
sure.
So we're gonna have to keep in line with them.
well, and that's why when we add that language as amended,
Mhm.
when the state changes something, it's
We have to come back
automatically
to it.
adopted.
No, it
by the
Oh,
automatically-
it
town
automatically
Yes.
adopts it.
Because of our language, it says
Okay.
as amended.
And we don't have to
Okay.
revisit it every single time.
Mhm.
'cause
So every
that's the
time
goal.
Can
you
we do
update
that with marijuana too? Can we put as amended with marijuana and then like medical marijuana and?
Probably,
Bruce said
It
sure.
hasn't changed that much, which is really surprising to me, but yes.
I just think it would be a good idea to put that on every,
Then we stay current.
just covers us.
Well,
Yeah,
especially things like this where it's kind of a moving target.
well, while she's
Yeah.
printing that natural medicine, information, do we need to go through the line by line, for these? The marijuana caregiver, medical marijuana business and recreational marijuana business as far as town center, commercial property?
So here's what I'm gonna tell you on the caregiver,
Okay,
you can be a caregiver living at home.
Oh, for
So
sure. You don't
it
have to
could be
live
in both
that house.
non-residential and residential.
I
That
would
one.
think so, because if you think about it, again, caregiver is that person who, they're just the delivery.
Right.
So,
so we need to add it to our residential zone district as well.
For the caregiver
for
one.
the caregiver one,
And what about the non-residential zone?
I would have it there too.
Okay, and so
Because it
are we?
potentially could be across the board.
We'll do both, and then are we permitting, or are we special use, or are we saying no to any?
For what? For
For
caregiver?
caregiver,
And
Oh, that's probably correct.
here's what I'm gonna tell you. Caregiver, remember Ruth said caregiver has to go through the Colorado Department of Public Health
It's gonna be
and a registration. So
special.
they're already licensed. Is that gonna be something that we wanna then go back through? And so I would think if they've already have their license, do we need to go through any of that other BS?
No.
I mean,
No,
not to
because
say
they've already
BS,
been
but
vetted by the state.
you've got it.
The one thing
And
is.
so does
okay,
the patient,
they-
the patient,
Yes.
you know, so they both,
So it's
Not that we
permitted.
have a very good definition of caregiver.
And that's
That's
what I wanna make sure is that someone isn't just looking at this chart and saying, oh, I can do this at home.
So we
you
need
could
to have a
al- we
really
could
good
say as
definition of that.
licensed or something.
Caregiver as defined by the state of Colorado.
that's what I would, that's what I suggest.
Yes, thank you,
Yes.
Ruth.
Defined by state.
And then we'll just permit it in all zones.
I would,
Yeah,
Yeah.
in both
I would.
residential and non-residential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay,
cause you're not, it's not a grow. It's not, a dispensary.
Right.
It's, in most cases, it is very, very specific.
And it's gonna happen whether we say special use or not. So, but then are more willing to probably look at the licensing if they see that somebody's permitted also. As opposed to, oh, I don't wanna go get a special use, and so then it's hidden more.
Mhm.
We wanna encourage the registration.
Yes.
well, that makes sense.
Okay, so let's look at non-residential zone, medical marijuana dispensary. Are we not allowing that? I think the county doesn't allow it.
For what? Non-medical?
No,
Dispen-
medical marijuana dispensary and grow, I would say dispensary and grow, because they pretty much go hand in hand.
No.
Not always. but-
No, because the Cherry Creek, if you're in the Cherry Creek neighborhood, lots of dispensaries,
But not growers.
non-growers.
But what are we going to allow in the town of Kiowa? If we're not going to allow either, then we can lump them if we're going to say not permitted.
But if we decide to break them apart though, then we have to go ahead and get this changed again. Exactly. So do we want to amend it if we don't break it out right now? I'm for
Well-
breaking it out.
I like it broken out because
To where it's just a dispensary and not a grow.
No, it's,
Correct.
both. Well, it's
I like
both.
that
you talk
It's
about
one
dispensary, you can talk about the grow, you
Yeah.
can talk about medical or
recreation.
recreation. So if it's broke out in those
Uh-huh.
cases, then it allows, and so then again, I am one recreation, I could care less. When we get into the medical part of it,
Mm-hmm.
we really have to look at our population. And I understand we are very much in a very conservative county. I get that. My mom's from a very conservative place in Nebraska. But there are times where we need to look at, but we're allowing caregiver. We just need to make sure we're looking at it from the perspective of what's best overall for maybe our aging or our health of our community. I don't want our kids out there smoking it willy-nilly. Recreation, that's not where I'm at, but for the health of people,
Mm-hmm.
I really think we need to look at a dispensary that fits within so many, feet, yards, whatever, from schools, daycares, those kind of things. Whether they're not gonna come out here, not for a long time.
At a minimum, I think it needs to be special review, but.
I could agree with
And I would
that.
even maybe
I'm gonna disagree. I have some experience in the marijuana industry as an inspector. I inspected medical establishments, dispensaries and grows prior to recreation being legalized.
Right,
And I saw so much abuse of the medical use. It was obvious.
it wasn't medical.
It wasn't medical. It was very common. to, I mean, it was almost a joke. It was so non-medical.
Well, and those doctors should have been, in my opinion,
But we're gonna get that. If we allow it in our town, we're gonna, if we only allow medical, it's going to turn into a medical
Everybody's medical.
used for recreation. And I think there are enough opportunities to purchase medical marijuana within driving distance of Kiowa that we do not need it in Kiowa. I think we need to safeguard our town. And
I agree with all of that, but my only thing about special review is at least then we have the option as opposed to. You know, how far out is this table gonna go? Do we want it to work for the next 5 years or? I mean, I know we can't predict that.
Terry has her hand up as well.
Go ahead, Terry.
she's muted.
Yeah, you're muted. We can't hear you. Terry? Tell her we recognize her, but we can't hear her.
How hard is it to, if we say not permitted right now? What effort does it take to get that changed 3 years from now? Is it just a simple amendment to the,
It's a ordinance.
that goes to the trustees?
You would make a recommendation like you do with everything else, and then they would have to pass an ordinance to change the code. It doesn't involve a ballot initiative or anything like that.
Although if that's something, you know, depending on what the town board looks like. I mean, depending on whether or not you wanna completely just shut the door, or like you said, put it up for special review, you can always say no.
Are you able to unmute her?
That's my
because she
stance
can't
right
get it
now.
to
I would say
you.
no, but
But by reviewing it, it gives you more flexibility down the road.
I've been of the mindset, I feel like if we
What?
say yeah, and we present that in the town at like. We don't even know what it can expand to there, but like.
I don't
what
think I
it's
can
showing our
unmute her.
kids.
if we
Over there by her
use
name.
it, if we
See
keep
the
it
line?
as special
On the
use.
far right side.
And then we decide to say
Yeah.
no because we
The
have
white bar on the far
conservative
right side.
views for want of a better
Oh, over
reason.
there.
Does that
Oh.
leave us open to?
It just says
a
ask to
lawsuit?
unmute.
What's that?
I can't hear everybody because people are talking.
Because we have said
Sorry.
no without a valid reason other than a personal opinion.
Yeah, I get that.
So if we don't permit it, then we don't have to open ourselves up to that can of worms.
You're talking just about medical marijuana.
I'm talking
mean,
about.
all of it.
I'm talking about medical and recreation. I am 100% in favor of caregiver. Because that's a very specific role. It's very well regulated. It's used by people who really need it for medical use. Medical marijuana is used. People go get medical marijuana licenses now, permits to purchase. Because it can be cheaper. The recreational dispensaries are more expensive than the medical dispensaries. So they'll find a doctor online that will write them a script in 30 seconds.
Can you just put her on voicemail?
I want her to get out and get back in.
Oh.
There's something going on.
So
I'm for no too.
I'm for no.
I was just thinking.
How hard or easy it
If
is.
we're gonna try to. Have something that kind of reflects the next 3 years, 5 years, is there a goal, anything? I'd
Okay.
rather not have.
Howard's, your thoughts?
So you're saying no on recreational?
And medical. Dispensaries and businesses. I'm
No
saying
dispensaries
yes-
or growth, whether
yes
it's
on the
medical
care-
or.
Yes, on the caregivers, no on the medical and or recreational marijuana business of any kind.
Cause we don't want to expose this to our children, is that what we're saying no to?
Well, we're supposed to be reflective of the town and the people in the town and. I mean, not our personal opinion, but,
But it seems like it is though,
The
personal
town-
also.
Yes.
well, but she's seeing things as an
Yeah,
inspector that.
personal experience has shown me the downfalls of it. But also our town voted, what, 3
Yeah.
years ago? To disallow it when someone did, petition the town to.
And the streets were lined up. People were very vocal about no.
And
at that
it
time.
overwhelmingly lost the vote. I mean, it was,
Okay, well then
Huge,
why don't we
80%.
have a town meeting and get a feel for how everybody feels now? Why can't we do something like that? I mean, that was
Wow.
3 years ago.
I
Why,
don't
why
think it's
can't we
necessary.
hold a town meeting and get the feel of what everybody thinks? I mean, we owe people in the town to at least get their opinion,
They
right?
they could approach us, they could say something, in public comments. The thing that people showed up for was a ballot measure, wasn't it? So the two different things. I
Sandy,
mean,
were you
everybody
trying
has-
to
always has
talk?
opportunity.
Okay, go ahead, Sandy.
I just want to say that having the town people come in, like the vote, we would not, unless it's on the ballot, we shouldn't do that. We
Okay,
will start a riot in our little town.
okay.
I don't think that's worth it. And just so you know, I'm right with Julie on all of this. So I don't want any of it in town. Just because. Okay? That's all I have to say tonight, right now.
She
Sandy,
said she doesn't want it in the town.
Okay.
She's with she agrees with how Julie feels in regards to this matter.
is that correct, Sandy?
Correct.
That you agree with Julie that it should be a no?
Yes.
I know why. I'm just curious why. I know why.
Yeah, but, I mean, I hate to tell you guys, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but it's, the decision to do that is not based on this board
Right.
or this commission or even the town board. It will have to be a decision made by the town.
Right.
So if you could put on there, I mean, Ruth, and before it was a ballot initiative, whether to admit a marijuana dispensary into the town, by us writing into the code, that doesn't make it have to be a ballot initiative, or does it still have to be a ballot initiative if it ever did happen or a request was ever made?
The ballot initiative, I'd have to read it.
But why did they?
And my guess is it was to allow dispensaries.
Cause I don't think we have dispensaries in
Then
the.
we're trying to put in the marijuana over by the feed store.
We can't
hear
understand you.
You're very low, or you sound like you're far
Tim,
away.
I'm gonna text it to you.
A lot of people didn't put it on their ballot, you guys. Can you hear me?
I
we
think
can hear you.
fine.
A lot of towns didn't put it on their ballots. And, you know, it was approved by the state, and so a lot of communities just adopted zoning and land use regulations that would allow it. So I don't know what Elbert County did, and I would honestly have to look at it and see, you know, was it countywide? And then Kiowa just went along with that, or was it on our Kiowa
Okay.
ballot? Do you remember?
So Sandy is saying that it was when they were trying to put a pot shop over by the feed store. So for whatever reason, that needed to be on a ballot initiative, and Terry said for years, there was about 397 medical card holders in Albert County. So, I mean, I'm,
But Albert has said. no,
I-
haven't
County has
Gosh,
said
you
no.
guys, it's so long ago. My recollection, I could be wrong about this, but is that sometimes you needed, before the law really went into effect and we adopted all those regulations on how you're gonna be able to buy it, I think you did have to vote on it. Like there was a window where you had to do that. Cause I can remember that happening in Red Cliff, that town I represented. And they all voted no, they wouldn't allow it. Now, of course, now they have it.
Okay, so now is this something we have to get on a ballot? Is that what is going on here?
Yeah, Ruth, can you
No,
clarify that?
I don't know the answer. I have to read your ballot questions and then I have to look at, what happened in the county, in the town to answer that. But it sounds like you guys don't want it anyway, so.
I think half of us are, I think we're split.
We're split.
We are split, because I'm gonna be very honest with you, I mean, you guys were, I don't see where a dispensary would be so bad in this town. It would give us, some
Revenue.
revenue.
Revenue, yeah.
It sure would, I mean, and again, I'm gonna go back to, we don't mind if there's a bar here, but we mind if there's a dispensary. And I've seen more come from, mischievous come from a bar than I have ever seen from a dispensary, not that I hang out at either one by any means. I don't drink and I don't do marijuana, so, but I'm just looking at a town perspective for revenue to properly bring in something for us. And as we build Elbert County East, as people are driving through here, and it's none of our business what they do behind their closed doors. But if they wanna stop and get some recreational marijuana to go home behind their closed doors and enjoy that, that's up to them. I'm just looking at it from a revenue point. And again, I'm gonna say, a bar versus a dispensary, you're gonna get more riffraff from one than you are gonna get the other. I've never seen an angry stone person, but I sure have seen an angry drunk.
But we've all seen cases of people who do pot and there's big problems with that too.
Which
So, I
is?
mean, addiction and
I'll tell you right now, from a son who died from addiction, your addiction, your gateway drug is not marijuana, your gateway drug is alcohol.
yeah, and I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, is that another thing we wanna open up?
That's,
I mean, that's-
that's individual. That's
Well, but
hardwired,
that-
it's this and that.
They're doing it individually though. I
What,
mean, people who want it right now are able to get it individually right now.
Right.
I don't know if we as a town need to. I mean, I guess we are split. I think we need to
Right.
research, we need to
Right.
find out what the people, like if people come up to us and say something, if there's a comment.
yes,
Well, and it, not to sound wishy-washy, but from my experience, there have been some really well-run businesses.
Yes.
Family, I mean, I know of one business that was full-on family. There was grandma, daughter, and grandkids all working together in this grow manufacturing dispensary. They were, producing edibles and that kind of thing, as well as growing and dispensing.
So
flower
then,
buds.
here's my
So I've
question.
seen both sides.
Yes.
There are some well-run
Mhm.
businesses. I don't wanna paint them all
Right,
with a black
right.
mark.
So if it's with special review, then we have the ability. And then our people from town have the ability to come in and talk to us. We're not
That's
saying
true.
shut the door. We're having the ability to have that conversation if and when it comes up. So to Julie's, your point, which, we're not closing the door, we're giving the opportunity.
Right.
That when it comes to that, then we can have those conversations.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not the time to close the door, maybe leave it with a special review, then we can have that big conversation when it needs to be had, which is not now.
And invite more public comment.
You got it.
And get the towns.
And again, you could still decide no.
Correct.
Exactly.
It gives you the option.
Yes.
Because it's under special review.
Right, it's
Yes.
under special review, so it'd be a case by
That's
case
what I was thinking
basis.
when Julie was talking about the whole family owned one, a special review would help you weed that out. If you guys review
Yeah.
every, and you determine that something in that circumstance is, fine with you guys, then,
Are
but
they,
you will never know that if you don't have a special review.
Correct.
are they licensed through this state?
They all have to
Yeah,
be.
they all are. So the
So-
Elbert County has dispensaries, and so does Elizabeth.
Elbert
And
County, they
just-
disallow.
And see, that's another thing. I mean, if we're in Elbert County, if Elbert County is saying no,
They're not saying no. They have it. There's dispensaries. And there's one in Elizabeth, at least one.
A dispensary in Elizabeth?
Yes.
Where? I've never seen it, never heard of it.
when
Uh,
did that change? When did the Elbert?
There's one
allow-
called Mama Ganja. That's Elbert County. And then Elizabeth, hold on, I just saw it.
My last understanding, and this has been a few years, was that Elbert County had said no, so.
Terry, did you have something? I got Terry on speakerphone now because her audio will not allow her
Yeah, and I can't,
to come on.
I don't have the power to unlock the.
Yes, I would.
Go ahead.
I agree with the special review. Because I'll tell you, that we're gonna see it on a ballot measure again at some point. The town is pretty equally split on whether to allow or not. And, quite honestly, I'm very familiar with this because that's how I got on the board. The Board of Trustees voted no, that an initiative would not be on the ballot. And, some neighbors came around and they said, how can we change this? And I said, well, you either vote out Board of Trustees or get it on a petition. Well, how do we do a petition? So that's what they did and that's how they got it on the ballot. So I will say, we shouldn't completely close the door. Special review is good. Because I imagine we will be seeing it again. Maybe next 3-4 years, who knows?
So it looks like it's advertised in Elbert County and Elizabeth, but when you go to the website, it's in Douglas.
Correct.
Does that sound more accurate?
Yes,
No,
it does.
Elbert County has said no.
Yeah, there is none in Elbert County.
We could do it since,
It's a
home
town
rule.
rule, yeah.
Right.
Rule.
So we can do it within Elbert County, but within town limits?
It has to be within town
We
limits.
don't have to go with
Yes.
what county?
Correct, because we're home
Because they're
ruled.
not trumping, okay.
Yes.
I found an ordinance passed by Elbert County in 2018
Yeah.
regulating cultivation of marijuana on residential properties and structures.
It's in, they haven't amended it since it was first approved. I was looking at that.
right,
So are we deciding tonight, or are we thinking and saying next time?
Sandy, how do you feel about special review? Can you give a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
She texted me and said, okay, she would rather special review.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm,
That's the most
I
I'm
can
willing
agree
to
with that.
go with that.
okay,
I'm good with.
okay. So we're going
Save your
to,
battery, Kim, I'm done.
Okay.
all right, so just to confirm, in regards to the caregiver across the board, no worries.
Across the board.
Then for medical. And are we going to also medical and recreational, grow and dispensary? Because usually they're not always together, but because that.
Right.
They do them separate, but are we going to have special review on all of it across the board, or are we just looking at medical? Just so that way we're talking about the same page.
I think this dispensary special review and the grows not permitted.
I could,
I agree.
I can work with
agree
that. All right,
They can grow outside of town and then bring.
yeah, we don't, I don't like the smell of skunk.
Yeah.
If you drive past all of those grows out in, out by
I
Pueblo.
agree with that.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Just drive down Platte Avenue in Color Springs.
So,
Oh,
From Powers to the downtown area.
really?
It's just like one big pot shop.
It's-
Yeah, all you do is smell it all the way. to the
Yeah.
All
downtown
right, so Ruth, we're gonna add multiple lines to our non-residential zone districts. We're going to have a medical marijuana dispensary, a medical marijuana grow, a recreational marijuana dispensary, and a recreational marijuana grow. in addition to our medical marijuana caregiver that's already there. And natural medicine that we're also adding.
Correct.
And the natural medicine is a dispensary.
Natural medicine,
Or
we're just gonna
clinic.
leave,
Natural medicine, broad, got it.
Broad.
Yes,
And just.
natural
leaving it-
medicine businesses based on,
Gotcha, okay, as it goes.
Yeah.
And
And
you're
we're
doing
gonna,
special
put
review also.
amendment on natural medicine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but, and then just special review it also.
special review that
Yes.
one, yes.
Okay, got
And
it.
then definitions, dispensary would be basically the sale of marijuana and marijuana products. Grow would be the
Cultivation.
cultivation and manufacturing.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, so I'm reading the Elbert County ordinance from 2018, and it says, in 2012, the voters of Colorado approved Amendment 64. So it has been 12 years, personal use and regulation of marijuana. On September 11th, 2013, Elbert County BOCC adopted an ordinance prohibiting operation of marijuana
Cultivation.
manufacturing, testing, or retail within unincorporated Elbert County.
Yeah.
So that's pretty consistent with what I was recalling, is that the county approved an ordinance saying we're not gonna ever have it in Elbert County. And then that's just unincorporated. And you all voted also, Elbert
Well,
County residents,
They
yes,
voted
again, against having dispensaries too on November 6, 2012. 54% of the county. So the town of Kiowa still reserves the right to do what it wants.
54% of the county or the town?
54 of the county.
only the county. You guys are
So-
registered voters in the town of Kiowa.
Right, but I'm wondering what that.
So, but if you think
Like a
about
long
it,
time ago.
yeah, 2012, that was a long time ago, and now with all the growth, if you think about how Elbert County would probably vote now, totally different. I hate to say that.
No, but I'm wondering what, did Kiowa's, the town of Kiowa have a ballot measure?
Yes.
And that's
Voted
what,
down.
That's what
Yeah.
voted down, yes.
so both.
Iowa had its own ballot, Kim?
Yes.
About 3 years ago.
No, it was longer than that, because I've
Was
been
it-
here for 3 years,
was it
and it
longer than
happened
that?
before I got here. I
Sounds like
heard about
yesterday.
it when I got here.
I think about 4 years.
Terry,
ago.
I'm gonna go with that, Terry.
That's when they were going
And
forward.
it failed?
It failed, I had to be 4 years ago, because Terry was involved in that before, right as she got on the board. She's up this year,
And
so.
that ballot said no marijuana in the town?
Correct.
2022.
And you guys can't do it.
Yeah, no, you just, if the ballot said no, then we can't look
Can't
at
even
it at all.
special use it.
Yeah, you
We
can't
have
even
to
special use it.
Say no for now,
Yes,
not permitted.
correct, until it's a change of ballot.
So
Good
can we
catch.
lump everything under marijuana business then, instead of having 4 lines? Okay.
Yeah,
And
we just have to match it with whatever that ballot is. It's probably really similar to what Elbert County's is, I'm sure.
I'll see if I can find any record on it.
Okay.
Our friends at the Department of Revenue will have it,
Yeah.
if we can't find it.
That's right.
Then at this point.
That keeps us moving. That was a lot of discussion. And get back
To get
down
right
to-
back.
Right.
Back to zero.
But at least we
Yeah.
are,
So it was voted down 54 to 46, right?
no, that
No, that was
county.
the
That was the
county,
county.
right,
Yeah.
the town was about an 80-20 split.
Okay,
Back in,
and I'm
4
with Wendy, I
years
mean, a
ago.
lot of things have changed, so.
4 years ago.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't think a
but-
lot has
but-
changed in 4 years.
I don't think I don't think
It's probably shifted a
It's
little
shifted,
bit,
but not.
not.
A lot. So we can't touch it
We
until
can't
it's
touch
on
it
the
anyhow
ballot
because it's
again and it
ballot.
passes.
Yeah.
Then we have to come back and do
Correct.
October.
Okay.
Okay. Wow,
And then-
we've spent. a lot of
Okay,
time.
Say,
You can
well,
get that
and then
20 minutes
what,
back.
what it printed was, this is, Breckenridge's, ordinance for the natural medicine. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Ruth, the idea is that we kind of look at this one and basically see if we kind of want to copy it.
Where is this one from?
Breckenridge. This is from Breckenridge.
Oh, you gave us a copy?
Yep, yeah, you should have a copy.
Sorry, I didn't.
Oh, we have to see the map, where they allow it. Get that. It's on consent.
And of course, ours would be in a different section because their section, of course, aren't the same as ours.
And Breckenridge is gonna be much more liberal than you guys are gonna be. You know, we have dispensaries all over Eagle County. I don't even notice them anymore, hear about bad things or they just exist.
They got all fancy with their buffers and everything.
So what are we looking at here? Natural medicine businesses in town limits regulate, because this says land use regulations for natural medicine businesses. So that's businesses within Kiowa, not necessarily people with land and growing.
Correct, yeah.
No, this ordinance is just limited to the new psilocybin.
Distribution,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
I think it's kind of interesting how they put the bubbles down here. On that last page. Oh, the locations that they could have it. Well, these are actually like, this is buffered, 1,000-foot buffer around each of these.
Yep.
Oh, the schools and
Uh-huh,
Child cares, yeah.
yeah.
that's an easy way to tell.
Yep.
Yeah, because they did both the downtown district, so you can see that in the town, and then also the 1,000-foot buffer where, you know, not gonna happen.
Do we need to decide this tonight or are we studying this for next time?
I think you can study it for the next.
Well,
but
Ruth,
it's up to
didn't you want us to, since this goes into effect September 30th? Don't you want us to take a look at this, try to get it moving forward?
Bruce? Muted.
I'm talking, sorry, and muted. So Kim and I have looked at other, and I think Sasha too, have looked at, what other communities are doing. So I think this one we like the best. So I think the real issue I'm looking for direction from you all is if you're gonna allow it in town at all.
Here's what I'm gonna tell you, if the town voted no on marijuana, they're gonna probably say no to this too.
I was just thinking the same thing.
So, do we wanna open up that kettle of worms today?
And or.
And if we're gonna allow that, then why wouldn't we allow marijuana?
I mean,
Uh-huh.
should we review kind of consider these a bundle package? Is that fair to do or? Like in our own minds?
Well, if
They
you,
are different.
they are different, yes,
Yeah, right.
but this is still new.
I think we should be more cautious with something new.
So more cautious as in special review or heck no, we won't go. I mean, that's where we have to make that decision, because if if you're saying, hey, the town's already voted via ballot measure, no marijuana. If they get their hands on this and you think the town is still leaning that way, then why are we even gonna allow it in town? I'm just putting it
No,
out
and
there.
that's kind of what I think, to be honest, is I think it would be a similar thought process and similar group of ideas.
But with the knowledge of this act, decriminalize the personal possession, growing, sharing, and use. So your neighbors can grow, they can use it, they just can't sell it. So they can share it with each other. Okay. Just no sales,
I agree.
As of right now, that would be
based on
my-
the ordinance.
Yeah, and how fresh it is.
But we
And how-
still need like an overall general definition in the code.
I think so. Do we like their definition in here?
Well, I'm guessing theirs went right off the state stuff.
I mean, shouldn't we reflect the same thing, what the state is saying?
In what regards?
Definition.
Absolutely, like the definitions need to stay
Yes.
Yes.
consistent with the state. I mean, you don't want to vary from that at all. There's no flexibility.
So then the definition is now defined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we want to put as, and the amendment into it, or as amended.
Oh, yeah, I'll have that in there.
As the
Okay.
state changes the definition.
And your line item in your zoning is not allowed,
Okay, so not permitted.
so, correct?
Mhm.
Correct, and until any of this makes it to a ballot, we leave it alone.
Yep.
And there's not much we can do about any of this anyways. And does that include caregiver medical marijuana?
Caregiver medical marijuana, it does not fall under,
Medical.
Recreation.
So we'll always
or-
have the medical marijuana. here.
well, no,
Caregiver.
caregiver.
Or caregiver, I mean. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Caregiver.
And that's mostly so the caregiver can drive through town or bring it to
And
someone, is
Pick
that
up
correct?
product and bring
Yes.
it back,
Yeah.
that's what that's for.
I thought
Yes.
caregiver could grow also.
They,
Up to 4 plants, right?
yes,
Per patient.
per patient.
It's too bad we missed the ballot deadline on marijuana. Be interesting to see. But the
That would- Yes,
I'm not ready for
What
that.
are you trying to do? This is my first
No,
election,
it's
don't do that to
not
me.
Too bad, I've already had enough with the monthly meetings for the board, I
Oh.
don't need another.
You don't need
No,
more
this is my
fire.
first
Take a
election.
break.
Let's not do that to me.
Okay, so on to the next.
Scaring me.
All right,
Okay,
There
so
you go.
basically,
yeah, so do you have the new definitions, the new whereas, so as, okay.
I'm sure between Ruth and I, we can get them all in there.
Are we
Okay.
gonna are we ready to tackle residential zoning district?
Yep, let's go.
Okay. So let you be in charge,
You guys have papers.
All right.
and Julie does her homework.
Do you want mine?
No, that's okay.
You sure?
Oh, yeah, okay.
We can share if you wanna look at mine. I got my notes on mine.
I got notes all over the place, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
So we're.
Okay, which,
Residential.
okay, I'm gonna come.
So last meeting, Wendy, we just, well, not we, you, Julie, went line by line. And just went through each one of them.
I said enough. I'm
Are
gonna
you sure?
stand, oh, yeah.
Okay,
And
I-
so
let's
last
do
meeting,
this.
Julie kind of went through each one and then the group decided special, whatever.
I have a quick question. Under single family, we have high density, medium density and low density.
Mhm.
Do we have a definition for high, medium and low?
Yes.
Yes, that should be in the,
The square footage?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I thought so. I just wanted to. And
Yes.
what's our rural?
yes, rural residential.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was assuming that. Okay, single family dwelling units, MHP permitted, multifamily, no, permitted, everything else across the board. I made no changes.
okay,
Second dwelling unit, we have no definition for second dwelling unit.
Or ADU. Oh, it's different
We
than
do- It's
ADU.
different. than
Okay,
I'm assuming it means a second single-family home on the same property. But we don't have a definition for that, so we need to get that definition in there.
Okay, and that was the, which one, the second
Second dwelling unit.
dwelling unit?
We need a definition. I'm assuming, like I said, I'm assuming it means a single-family home on the same property, not permitted or in anything but rural and ag. Except wouldn't multifamily zoning kind of imply second
No.
dwelling unit?
Mhm.
No, okay.
because of the way that
definition
it's,
and
yes.
stuff?
Because multifamily, is that like one building as opposed to
It's like
two
your
buildings?
condominiums, duplexes.
Okay.
Yeah,
townhomes,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So we need a definition and then I would not make any changes to the zoning on second dwelling unit. Accessory dwelling unit, I made a change under medium density and I added special use under medium density.
Remind me what,
ADU,
is most of Kiowa medium density
probably.
or low density?
I think
I-
most of Iowa's low density, like single family homes, but
What I'm looking at is what's the square footage of the lot to be considered medium density?
Haven't we reviewed all this stuff?
Yeah, but I'm just trying to remember in my,
No, I'm not saying
Yeah.
that, but I wish I brought my notes from the last time, because we did make some changes.
because I'm just trying to remember what the, because it has to have a square footage of lot.
Yeah, because we've talked about square footage of lot.
So would you allow an ADU in a medium density?
But that's why I wanna know what the
Good
square
square
footage is
Okay, someone,
of the lot.
oh, we don't have it updated.
And aren't there some already in town
Go
also?
back to
Didn't we
our-
decide that there were?
Yeah. we'll do it.
didn't we do this once already?
Yeah, we
Yeah, we don't have our notes in front of us right now.
Okay, no, I'm okay with putting it as special review for an ADU. Though more and more places are doing more and more allowing ADUs without any special reviews, just because but they have to be a certain small square footage. To allow for, like a casita for your family, mother-in-laws.
Do you want me to go get my old notes? Does that help us tonight? Because I just feel like we're reinventing the wheel again. Because remember, we've talked with Mayor, he was talking about square footage and stuff too.
Well, so should we sit on this until next time, or do we need to keep moving with it?
I think that we already did it. I mean, I remember doing it and then going back and doing it, so
That's what I thought, yes.
there's a reason to change it, I would stick with
Yeah,
it.
the
Of course, I'm a big advocate of ADUs, but that's just me.
I think the reason we readdressed non-residential was because of Joey's points that she brought to the meeting.
Yes.
And,
Yes, agreed.
okay, and so we could leave residential how we had it last time.
Yes.
I would love to see those. Yeah.
Okay.
No hurry. Next year.
Okay. But I will get a definition for second dwelling unit.
Yes,
Sasha,
there was a couple more in here that needed
Okay,
definitions.
which ones?
Commercial farming, commercial greenhouse, they seem self-explanatory, but they're not, there's no definition.
Okay, and greenhouse, okay.
Non-commercial greenhouse, again, it seems self-explanatory, but there's no definition.
Okay,
Riding academy, dude ranch, we don't have a definition for that.
and they were one thing,
Yes.
Yeah, online.
okay,
I just wrote a
Not more
question.
than 2 acres.
okay.
Why are we addressing sawmills in our zoning regulations? I just,
Okay, so we need one.
And one that's
in case we
not
have
more
a
than 2
booming
acres.
timber
Oh, right.
industry in town all of
At
a
one
sudden.
time, there was.
So do we need a definition for sawmill?
We either need a definition or we need to take it out.
I think we
Is
need to
that-
take it out.
Okay.
Let me go find a definition first and then we can decide.
And
Yeah.
then we need a definition for water reservoir. Are we
Okay.
talking rain barrel or pond?
Oh,
Right? Koi's? Milk.
okay.
water reservoir.
Okay,
Totally size.
okay, so we need definitions for all those. Okay,
Yes,
I can do
those-
that.
Those are the ones I went through that I could not find.
Regulate my rainbow.
Right, me too.
I'm guessing it's something bigger than your brain power.
Um,
Although that's something we are, speaking of water, at some point we'll have to tackle, is pools. We don't have anything about pools in our zoning code. And so, and I've been pulling up there's a whole thing on pools, so that may be something we wanna add to one of our upcoming meetings, cause I've started pulling up stuff like that, cause we have two people who have like above ground pools, but that doesn't mean at some point someone's not gonna come back and go, wanna put in a below ground pool.
And is
And
that
I
usually
wanted to put it in my backyard.
Please, me first.
There's a whole international building code just for pools.
Okay, underground pools.
Yep,
Okay.
there's a whole book on it.
Yep.
And so I was like, we don't have anything in our code about pools. So
Remember,
that,
I asked something about pools last time, but you said it was recreational, but we didn't talk about residential.
yes, that was it, residential pools. And so that's something,
Does anyone object to above ground pools?
No,
No.
I don't.
cause they're all like temporary, the ones that are here are temporary ones.
I mean, is there any reason we should?
Just, I mean, a lot of communities prohibit them, so
Really?
Is it because aesthetic or?
that would be my guess.
Oh,
Is that the same as a hot tub? I mean, it's above ground
No.
pool.
That is yours. And we don't need to do hot tubs, right? No,
I think they're pretty,
plug in.
but I just know we had two different residences this summer who had above ground temporary pools.
Mhm.
Because they called and they wanted to know about water, and I said, well, start filling from your hose.
Yep, it's gonna cost you.
But
Yeah.
that's
I
a
wanna see that,
should
Bill.
we, should we address above ground, like, is there the potential that some neighbor doesn't like their neighbors above ground? I mean, do we need to address it that way?
No, I think that's up to the lady who goes around or whatever. I don't know.
Susie code.
We don't
code
have
enforcement?
HOAs, yeah.
Right,
That's
So-
an HOA thing.
yeah,
Not HOA.
It's like an HOA thing, and really people's pools are gonna be in their backyard, you
Yeah.
can't monitor people.
No, that's what I'm at, that's what I'm
Yeah,
asking,
yeah.
but
yeah,
do people complain against them?
No,
Nope.
we've never had any complaints, we just have people wanting to, instead of using their
Buy
garden.
bulk
hose to
water.
fill
They
them
wanted to
up,
buy bulk water, which is way
water for a
cheaper.
Cheaper price.
Yeah.
And we were like, no one around here does that.
Yeah.
Elizabeth doesn't do it,
Mhm.
fire department doesn't do it,
Yeah.
you got to just put in your garden
There's
hose.
some
But
companies out
Anyway,
there
it was
that
just
do
something I did,
Then you're gonna pay for transfer.
because I don't know if there's a much bigger deal with, because with a below ground pool, you're, obviously there's building
And
permits.
structure.
And structure and engineering and concreting, so
Excavating.
excavating, so that is something you may want to tackle at a future meeting, so I just thought I'd bring it up again.
In Texas, we had to use dynamite.
Nice.
Well, when your neighbors, like that.
Yeah, right thing. There's
All
something
right,
at it.
so do we have any correspondence information for review or discussion?
No, ma'am.
All right. So. Do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting at 7:08?
So move.
It's like Todd's thinking about it, he's like.
So get involved tonight. I will.
You've been there, people.
I second that emotion.
Second,
All right.
third, fourth, and fifth, right?
So all those in favor of adjourning our meeting at 7:08, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Say nay. All right, we're done.
Sasha, do you have?